Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to the Rough Assembly Presents. This is the third Rough Assembly talk that we've done in just under a month. So we hope that this is really helpful to you. My name is Nia Hughes. I'm an organising official who looks after the post-production and facilities branch for Bectu. Bectu is a trade union that hopefully, once you're in the industry, you will be joining as soon as possible. This evening, the panel is going to be led and has been developed by Eleanor and Imogen, who have put loads of time into creating what sounds like a fantastic little session. There's going to be some revolving slides that we're going to go through that we're just going to kind of highlight to you. This is the first one, I think, that we've ever put on specifically for students and new grads and new entrants. So welcome to the next part of your lives. Hopefully Imogen and Eleanor will sell it really hard for you. I think that's it from me, Eleanor. So if yourself and Imogen want to take over, then go ahead. The floor is yours.
Amazing. I will stop my screen share.
Okay. Cool. I will start my screen share.
Smooth transition.
Oh, look at that. That was smooth.
Hi, everyone. It's great to have you here. Keep letting us know where you're from if you've just joined, if you're at university or in school, sixth form, if you're a runner in the industry. We'd love to know where you're from and what your uni is. My name is Eleanor and I'm an editorial trainee in TV drama. I started getting into editing when I was in secondary school, and I'm sure the majority of people can relate to, you start watching cuts a little bit more closely and trying to find out a little bit more about editing. So what I did is I decided that I wanted to go straight into the industry from sixth form. And so I started as a runner in Fitzrovia in a post house, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that and what that is like today. And then I went on to cut some drama short films, and like Imogen, in March I was successful and very lucky to get on to the Screen Skills Trainee Finder for this year as a edit trainee in TV drama.
Awesome. So hi everyone, I'm Imogen. As Eleanor said, I'm an edit trainee on the Screen Skills film side of things. So my passion for editing began during sixth form and GCSEs, when I would start editing loads of little films in media studies. My media teacher saw how passionate I was about editing and film, so she basically told me about the BFI Film Academy, which I'm sure a lot of you have done, I don't know. When I was on the BFI course, I made sure that I edited the film. And then with that film, I then applied to film school, Arts University Bournemouth, also known as Bournemouth Film School. And whilst I was there, I specialised in editing, and I took every opportunity to edit as much as I could: fictions, documentaries, animations, effects films. I worked with some MA students, and I edited some films for the university. And I also got the opportunity to take my AVID 101 and 110 exam to become a certified user. And then since leaving university, I've worked at a post house, and my last role was a post-production assistant at a creative agency.
Amazing. So when I was coming into the industry, I had no idea where the industry was. And it's really amazing when you actually find out that all of these different post-production companies are located very close together in London. And you'll see here that we have a map which you can look at, and some different logos of companies. So a post-production house is where the online edit, the mix, colour grade for film and TV all takes place. And a post house will employ runners, so we're going to talk a little bit about that later, as well as their own in-house staff, so online editors, colourists, producers, and they may also hire out their editing suites. So every post house will have different cutting rooms and different grading rooms, different things. And they may hire out their editing suites to productions who'd like to also bring in their own preferred freelancers. And production companies may have their own in-house post facilities, but if they're looking for something a bit more specific, so for example, VFX or colour grading, then what they'll do is they'll go to a post production house with their TV show or with their film, and get it specially created there, because they know that they've got the best of the best in the industry. And there are so many different post-production companies. Some of them are a lot larger than others. Some will have one runner, some will have 50 runners. Some of them have multiple locations throughout the whole of the UK. Others have multiple locations just in London. But there's also centrally located post-production companies in Bristol and Manchester, and many other hubs throughout the UK. So it's not just London. But because we've both run in London, that's what we're gonna be talking about. So hopefully there'll be a webinar for more regions throughout the UK, but that's what our experience is in. So that's what we're going to talk about. And different post-production companies also may specialize in different types of genres and different film and TV. So some post-production companies may only have clients who work in drama or documentary or advertising. So it's great to find a job in a post-production house that specializes in something that you're interested in. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later as well.
Nice. So Eleanor's talked a little bit about offline and online. So in a post-production house, you'll find a lot of, they'll have their own in-house staff, but they'll have they'll have in-house editors who work online, and then they'll have freelancers who are offline editors. So the online editors, they're the ones who get it ready for broadcast. So they'll get the films, the TVs, shows, like they'll get everything ready to go out. Whereas the offline editors, they're the ones who are actually putting the cut together. So they'll be working with the lower resolution footage, preparing it for the online editors. And the online editors work with the graders and the sound designers, getting everything ready. So yeah, so ready for broadcast. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I thought you were going to talk. So so if you do live in London and you get the opportunity to go around Soho and Fitzrovia, it would be great if you could go around with 50 CVs and go and knock on every single post house door. Like, that might seem like the scariest thing, but the people working on reception, most likely they've been runners themselves. So they'll be like there with like open arms to like take your CV in. And because the way a post house works, there's such a fast turnover. So people are constantly moving up into different stages within the company, onto reception, into MCR as offline assistants, all sorts of jobs. So they're always looking, especially the bigger companies, they're always looking for runners. And if you go in there and you say, oh, hey, I've seen one of your shows, here's my CV, I love it. Like, that's just going to make you stand out so much more.
Exactly.
Cool. So what does a post-production runner do? A post-production runner is in charge of, basically, you're the person who is looking after all the clients. You're making sure they're getting their coffees, their teas, they're getting them on time, you're getting their lunches and their dinners. You're also keeping the editing suites nice and tidy for them. You're the person who they will see when they enter the building. So it's really important that when you enter, when they enter, you are smiling and always happy, and you always speak to them, ask them questions, and yeah, just seem interested in what they're doing.
Exactly. And it will really make you stand out. So, you know, when they do come in the morning, ask them how their day was, ask them if they would like anything from the kitchen. You're centrally located in the kitchen, and, you know, you can think of being a runner as teas and coffees, but actually, if you think about it in another way, you're working in a building where so many different industry professionals who may actually work in the role that you would like to go into and learn about down the line. So it's a perfect opportunity to meet people and ask questions. And one thing that you will be doing, as Imogen said, is preparing refreshments and things, breakfast orders. And one thing that we would definitely say as a recommendation is to try and remember clients' names as well as their breakfast orders. One time, one of our clients had a very specific order, and it was something to do with half almond milk. It's porridge, so it's half almond milk, half normal milk, chopped up apple on the top, and then honey on the side. And you may find that a bit strange, but if you remember that order for him So for example, if he comes into the post house and you go, "Oh, hi Simon, how are you?" Simon says, "Oh, I'm good, thank you. Can I get my breakfast?" And you go, "Yep, we've got it sorted. It's coming up. We're already starting to prepare it for you." That's brilliant. And you're actually really making sure that they have everything they need, and they'll really appreciate that. And that will make you stand out as well. And just, making that extra effort and always being really smiley, always being happy, because, they might have quite stressful deadlines, it can be quite an intense working environment as well. So if you make an extra effort, they'll remember that as well. And your team will be very grateful that, you are being happy in the kitchen as well.
Yeah, 100%. And also, like, one thing I remember that I used to do with the head runner was that we would see, for instance, let's just call him Simon, would see him come in, and
all your clients will be called Simon.
Everyone's called Simon, basically. We'd see him like come in, or he's on his way in, he passes the breakfast bar, and we would like just start preparing the flat whites, getting them ready. Simon calls up like, "Can I get my flat whites?" We're like, "We're already on it, we've done it." And then that just like improves his day so much more, because it's like that shows an extra level of caring, which is great.
Exactly, doing exactly what you want to do as a runner. And when you're collecting lunch and dinner orders, what that will happen is you'll go around to all the edit suites and with your menus, and then they'll put in their order. So you'll go to different places near your post house to collect orders. And when I was there, being a post-production runner made me spend more money, because I was going around, and every time I'd go and get a client's order, it would smell so nice that then I'd go back, especially Banbury Bay, if anyone's been there.
So good.
So yeah, just be really wary of that, because it smells so good when you're actually going around doing a job.
Yeah, definitely.
But as we said before, always have a positive attitude, and don't be afraid to ask for help. Like, I have to keep, reminding myself of this, and people always do throughout their whole career. But say, for example, we make a mistake, and at some point we all do. Once I spilled a teapot of tea on the carpet. So when you come down to your running team or to the client, what we'd suggest doing is taking a moment and think about what you can do about it. So come up with a solution, because say, for example, you come back to the running team, or you go back to the client and you say, "I'm really sorry, this is what's happened, but here's what we can do about it." That would be so much better for the team, rather than coming back and going, "Oh my God, this thing happened and I have no idea what to do." So try and think of a solution for it, and that will really help your team as well.
Yeah, definitely. And also, because it's kind of a safe place in a way to make mistakes during the running job. Like, it's good, obviously you have to tell people you've made the mistakes, but when you become an assistant editor or post-production assistant, or once, I don't know, if you become an editor, if you don't let people know that you've done things wrong, like, that's not going to reflect well on you. So it's definitely important to, at the start of your career, own up to things and see how you can work on that.
Exactly.
Also another thing, which is really really good to do, is if a client, an editor, says to you, "Do you want to sit on the edit, or do you want," or asks you what you want to do, you need to take that opportunity to tell them what you want to do, because they, like Eleanor said, they've got such like busy, like massive deadlines, and you never know, like, that person could be doing the job that you want to do. So it's so important to just like put yourself out there and tell them exactly who you are, what you want to do, why you're a runner, why you chose this specific post house. Eleanor, I know you've got a way of you've got an idea of how to do it. Yeah.
So massive shout out to Zach Arnold for this, because he is an editor, and he has a great program called Optimize Yourself, which we have a link to at the end if you want to check it out. And one of the things he talks about is making a little elevator pitch for yourself. So I remember one time when I was coming into one of the cutting rooms and coming in with the tea, an exec was there, an executive producer, and she asked me, "Oh, like, why did you want to be a runner?" And I was like, "Oh my God, this is my moment." So what I did, and what I did before to kind of prepare for this if it happened, was just think of a couple of sentences. Like, you can write them down. So what I did was I wrote mine down to kind of get it together, because you don't have a lot of time to tell people, who you are, why you wanted to be here. So actually writing it down can really help. And so if you imagine that the person that you want to talk to, or the person you want to ask a question to, is getting in a lift with you, and what will happen is, you know, they're going to get off at the next floor. So you have until they get in the lift and the lift goes up and they get off the next floor. And during that lift journey, you have to tell them what you want to do, who you are and how you got here, and what you want to learn in a very short space of time. So actually having a couple of sentences together that you have in your head will help you when this actually happens, because then you can be like, this is what I want to do and this is about me. And that's what really helped me when I was running. And definitely get to know the clients as well, and make sure, you know, everything that we're saying here, you have to make sure that you read the room and you be very, very respectful of their time. That's just a kind of a rule. So if they do, you know, when you go around to the editing suites and you're delivering tea, coffee, anything, you know, sometimes it won't be a good moment, and you really have to read the editor's body language and just be very respectful that they have a job to do. And sometimes what you have to do is you'll come in, put the tea down very quietly and then come back out. But sometimes what will happen when you go in is they'll turn around and ask you questions. So take that moment, get to know them a little bit better. And one thing that I did when I was running was every time I saw them, so when they came in or when they came down to the kitchen, I just get to know them a little bit better, ask them how the day was, ask if they needed anything from the kitchen. And then over time, I got to know some of the clients a little bit better, and they offered the opportunity, as Imogen said, to sit in on the edit. And if you ever get that opportunity, take it. Some people won't take it, and it's a brilliant opportunity. And I was absolutely terrified that I was going to ask stupid questions. And sometimes I still get terrified that I'm going to ask stupid questions, but there's no stupid question. Every question is great. And they know that we're all breaking in. They know that we're all runners. They know that we're all learning. So, you know, don't try and be like, yeah, I know what you're talking about, because no one does. And it's actually, you could turn it into a learning opportunity where you have learned something new, instead of being like, yeah, I know what you're talking about, and just sitting there. So, you know, it's a brilliant opportunity. And if that does happen, always say thank you, because they didn't need to allow us in to sit with them. So just be very grateful.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing that's really good if you are at a post-production house is if you want to choose one that specializes in Avid. Most of them do specialize in Avid, but if you are a post-production assistant, that is a perfect opportunity to learn Avid if you didn't go to university, if you haven't done a course, because you can get actually trained whilst you're on your shift to use Avid. So you can get paid to learn the software you need to know, which is like amazing.
It is amazing.
So yeah, definitely speak to people in MCR in the machine room, and they will definitely help you out with that if you haven't learned at university. Cool. So you need, like Eleanor said before, you need to think about where you want to work. So do you want to work in a sound, a grading, a VFX place? Do you want to work in advertisement or documentary? All these different places specialize in very different things. So the post-production house that me and Eleanor worked in was a very big post-production house, which was great because it offered loads of opportunity to, like I've said already, learn Avid, which is great for someone who doesn't know it already. The creative agency I worked in was a lot smaller, which was really great as well, because there was only me and one other post-production assistant. So it was, if anyone needed anything, they would just go to me or the other post-production assistant. If they needed a small edit, or if they needed something backing up, or if they needed a variety of jobs, if they needed stock or music, they could come to us straight away. So it does make you, sometimes it's better to be in a smaller company. Sometimes it's better to be in a larger company. In a larger company, for instance, in where we worked, it was really great because all the runners we worked with, everyone was interested in film and TV. So that was so great, because then we were already like networking with other people who really were passionate about what we were passionate about, which was amazing. And I know that, Eleanor, you've worked with some people who you ran with, some sound designers.
Yeah, so one thing that's really great about, meeting people, and especially runners who are starting out at the same level as you is some of the people that I ran with are very talented sound designers. So when I went on to cut a short film, they were the first people that I asked to see if they'd like to do the sound design. So anyone that you meet, whether you go to different networking events or people you run with, you know, help each other up in the industry. So instead of just, you know, networking upwards, network out as well. just meet people. And with all of the, you know, wherever you work, there's whatever company you choose to work at, there's no wrong answer. It's just whatever would but work best for you and what you want out of the company. Of all the places that I thought I'd find a running job, Facebook was not one of them. But that's actually where I found my first running job. So one of the things that we would suggest doing is following all of the post houses on social media. And one thing I've done is I've started creating a little blog. And so I have a list of post houses in the UK with their websites and their links to like Instagram and Facebook and things. If you would like to check that out, we'll put it in the chat at the end and it will be on the screen. Also have a look at company careers pages. So we've got at the bottom of the screen, you'll see a screenshot from Platform Post, and I just went on their website and I found it. So it's always on there. So definitely have a look. And they have an email here saying, you know, we're always looking for runners and here's the email to HR. So sorry, Carla, you might be getting a couple more emails, but it's always on there. So it's a perfect opportunity. The unit list is also a great website. They've got Facebook pages and Twitter pages. So you'll see here post-production runner at Molyneux. So have a look on there as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like join every single Facebook group to do with running as you can. Like there's so much stuff out there. So the way I got my job at the post-production company I worked at, I did work experience, and I just want to make a point that it was free work experience. I think it's super important to check out whether or not they're going to offer you something and think about what can I get out of this experience, because there are companies that will pay you for work experience. So it is definitely important to just look them up online, check, like see what people have said about the company. Are they a company you want to work for? Do they look after their staff? Yeah, so I did work experience, and then with whilst I was on the work experience, I made sure to make the most out of that opportunity. So I sat in with MCR, I sat in with an edit assistant on a show, and I asked really cheekily to sit in with an editor.
If you don't ask, it will never happen.
Exactly, definitely. Yeah, so that, and then I just basically applied. I basically applied to that company, and I had to do a trial shift, and then yeah, had an interview. And then with the creative agency, it was actually a bit of both. It was Facebook and LinkedIn. So I've literally put everything I've ever worked on my LinkedIn, which I think, to be honest, it's 100% how I got the job at the creative agency. So my past manager added me on LinkedIn, or connected with me on LinkedIn, and I was like, oh, who's this person who's like connected with me? And then I go onto Facebook and I see the same person has said, oh, we're looking for a post-production assistant. So I literally went straight back over to LinkedIn. I was like, oh my god, like I wasn't like oh my god, but I was like I would love to apply for this position. I sent over my CV, and then a few days later I got an email for an interview. So 100% make yourself as visible as possible on social media. Like it might be something you wouldn't think about, but it's so important.
Exactly. And there is a brilliant Facebook group called People Looking for TV Work Runners. And what they do is they have guidance on their page that you can read all about your CV. And you can also post your CV into the group, but make sure that you read the guidance that they have, and then you can update your CV and post it into the group as well to receive feedback on it. And when I went for my interview, I did also have a trial hour, like Imogen as well. And one of the things that I would like to let everyone know is that if you have no experience running, don't worry, because running is a brilliant opportunity for someone who's starting, who doesn't have any experience. One thing that I did was I had to think about everything that I've already done in my life, whether that was babysitting or working at a restaurant. And just to put it out here, we're not CV professionals, we're just gonna give some suggestions from personal experience. So I thought about, okay, well, what have I done? What skills have I learned that I can transfer to being a runner? So anything that's in customer service, anything that's client facing, anything where you're working under pressure and keeping calm, anything you're taking responsibility, have a think. So just kind of develop ideas and then reach out to professionals to get some CV advice, or the people looking for TV work, runners. And when I went for my interview at the running post house, I was given a test about the post house. So they test you on your knowledge of, have you done your research, and also, which I had and always researched the post house, but they also had a second test which was just about editing, to see what your knowledge was. And for anyone who doesn't have any experience, I also didn't, and I got all of the questions wrong, and I think I only recognized one, because I'd just come out of sixth form, so I only recognized one editing software, which was Premiere. And then I knew what an edit decision list was, so I was quite proud of that. And so I didn't know any answers either, but what I did was, when he came back, the interviewer, and he showed me my test, I asked, okay, well, what are the answers? Like, I'd love to learn. And because I demonstrated that I was passionate and I did want to learn, then that's something that they can work with as well.
Yeah, and it's also really important, because most of the time when you are in an interview, they'll probably ask you at the end, what have you got any questions for us? And one thing I always ask is, how did you get the job that you're doing now? So most of the time, well, both times for those two jobs, I was interviewed by the manager, and both managers had started off as a runner. So I thought that was really great to see the fact they had built their way up, and I was like, oh my God, this is possible. This is awesome. not that I want to be a manager.
Let us know in the chat if, when you've had an interview, what was the strangest question that you've been asked, or any questions that they asked you, or that you asked them when they asked as well. And if you like, that's the link to the blog with the post-production companies as well, if you'd like to have a look.
Do you want me to move on to the next slide, Eleanor?
Yeah, I think that's a fab idea.
Cool. So as we've said already, Avid is the leading software. So as you can see, it is £9 for students. So I see there's a lot of students on here. So you need to get on that before you leave uni, if you're in third year, because then you can have it for a whole other year afterwards. Not that I've done that. Yeah, so definitely learn if you are at a university, and it does offer this, if you can get certified or you can get the professional certification, 100% do it. Take the opportunity, get the books, learn it. It was only like £80 at my university, which is really actually quite cheap in comparison to how much the courses cost outside of university. So definitely take the opportunity. And as we said already, if you do work at a post house, go and sit in with MCR and learn Avid.
Avid is the leading, and this is going to cause a lot of debate.
I mean, it's not a debate.
Avid is the leading industry software, particularly for like episodic television, because all the editors, what can happen is, if you've got, for example, lots of different editors working in different cutting rooms, and they're all working on a season, they can all use a shared storage, which is the Avid Nexus. And so they can share bins, which are like folders, so they can keep sharing storage. So, and it's brilliant for that. So definitely, if you have the opportunity, or there's loads of online tutorials, which we're gonna get onto in a little bit, which you can do to learn Avid as well. Adobe Premiere Pro is also a great one, and I started off on iMovie, and then I learned Final. So
I'm pretty sure everyone did.
Yeah, so I started off on iMovie when I was in secondary school, just kind of teaching myself that, and then I moved up to Final Cut Pro X, and then I learned Adobe, and now I'm developing my knowledge of Avid. So whilst in my edit trainee job, so yeah, DaVinci is also a great one. To start off with, it's free as well. So if you'd like to have a look at what an editing timeline looks like, or just see the interface of non-linear editing software, which systems, not NLEs, DaVinci is a great one to start with as well.
Yeah, and also Avid first, and also Pro Tools first as well.
Free.
Yeah, they're all free. Yeah, exactly, they're all free. But yeah, like still like make sure you learn all the other softwares like Premiere, especially because some places do still use Premiere as well. For instance, the creative agency I worked at, I was on Premiere and Avid, so I really needed to like get better at Premiere because I like hadn't done it since I did the BFI course. So definitely just keep practicing both. Cool. So networking, like that is the number one important thing to get your next job. I wouldn't be here if I hadn't gone to this BFI event where I met Eleanor. So definitely go to as many events as you can, especially the ones at the BFI, because in the Blue Room there's like free booze at the end most of the time of networking. But yeah, only drink obviously if you're of age. And
Oh.
And yeah, so at the end of the talk at the BFI, it was all about editing. And I just was like, I need to do something. So I started putting away the chairs, and then I saw Eleanor putting away the chairs, and we just looked at each other like, you're here by yourself. And then you came up to me and you asked me something.
I think I asked something about like, what did you think of the event? That's always a good one to start with.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
it's very scary.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Like if you're just standing in a queue waiting to go, and like I started speaking to a girl in the queue, we started speaking to some university students. Don't always go towards the host, because if you go towards the person who's like given the like lecture, like everyone's going to go towards that person. So look around the room, look to see who's by themselves, go over to them. Yeah, network.
And it can be very scary to meet people and to go to all these different events. The first time I went to a Bectu post-fest event, I was 100% the youngest person there, and I was terrified. And I, admittedly, I probably wandered around the merchandise table picking out mugs a couple of more times than I probably needed to. But what was great about that was the next year I started recognizing faces, and I got a little bit more confident, and I started talking to people. So, any question that you have to ask anyone, like, it's not a bad question at all. One of the panels, I really, really wanted to ask a question, and I was terrified again. So I put up my hand and I asked the question to different editors, and my question didn't come out right. It wasn't actually because I was so nervous, it didn't actually come out in a proper sentence. But afterwards, because the editor had seen that I was kind of brave enough to actually put up my hand, and knew that I had good intentions, even though my question didn't make sense, she actually came up to me, and we were talking and had a really lovely chat. So anything that you can do to, attend networking events, or just go, once you've done it, it becomes a lot easier. So just go for it and put yourself out there, because if, the job that I have now, if I can trace it back to going to one of the Bectu mentoring event, Bectu networking events, so anything can happen, and you'll meet some great people.
Yeah, you never know who you're going to meet or who might be there to collaborate with. I mean, like now that me and you've already, like, for instance, me and Eleanor, we've met now, and she has all these contacts through Bectu. So if I'm like, oh, I really need help with something on a short film I'm working on, I can always go to Eleanor, and she can do the same thing. If she needs like a cinematographer, I can go and ask someone from my university to see if they can help out with that. So like you never know what contacts someone else might have. So yeah, it's really good to always network, and also volunteer as well. I volunteered
Yes.
at the BFI
Film festivals.
at the film festival. I did it like 3 times in a row, and like as I got to know people, every time I'd go back, I'd always see the same people. Also, I'd see the people who I did the BFI feature film course with, so I'd always see them there. So yeah, definitely just try and make yourself known in a few specific few places, and then you'll get to know people as time goes on.
So here's some different training and blogs that we found helpful. The Rough Assembly webinars, this is one of the Rough Assembly webinars, and we have a brilliant first assistant taking us through assistant editing for beginners in a couple of weeks. So anyone who is a runner, a trainee, I'm gonna sign up for that. That would be amazing. I can't wait. Bectu and Screen Skills are doing massive shout out to Screen Skills as well. Otherwise we wouldn't be on Trainee Finder. So they do different training masterclasses, which are brilliant at the moment. Also, Edit Stock is actually one that I found. And what Edit Stock do is they give you all of the footage for a film, normally independent films, and scripts and everything. And you do have to pay for it. What I normally do is ask my family for Edit Stock vouchers for Christmas. Or you will get a free scene, I think, if you sign up to their newsletter or log in. And they'll give you a free scene with all the rushes and different things. When I was in secondary school, the first thing that I found was actually Eddie Hamilton's advice page, which I'm very, very grateful that he wrote that. And I definitely recommend anyone to have a look and take notes off the advice page and highlight things, because when I read that, I didn't know when I was in secondary school. I knew I wanted to find out more about editing, but I had no idea how to get here. And so Eddie Hamilton's advice page was brilliant in showing me the steps that you could take. So definitely check that out. Johnny Elwyn is a brilliant editor who has a brilliant blog as well. And he has a blog post about alternative edit school, which I thought was quite cool. And that's brilliant for kind of taking you through an alternative way of learning. Zach Arnold, as I said, is a brilliant editor who has a great program for promoting creativity in post, as well as health and careers as well.
Yeah, and definitely also check out Linda if you do want to learn Avid or Premiere or After Effects. I'm trying to understand After Effects at the moment, so it's really hard. But Linda's really great because you can download, they'll give you some of the footage and they'll go through like a lesson with you. So it's really good software. You can also get it for like 30 days. Not that
you get it free if you're in uni.
Yeah, you can. I got it free with my uni, and because I can still log into my uni account, I can still get it for free. So yeah, most film schools, I'd say, probably offer. Double check that, and if they don't, maybe speak to, I don't know, your head of the course and see whether or not they can sort something out. But yeah, I don't think it's too expensive, and like I said, you can get a 30-day free trial. So definitely go for that if you are a little bit, you just want to practice on your editing skills. Yeah, Edit Stock was great. You told me about that the other day, and I've downloaded my scene. So
have you?
Yeah, I haven't started editing it yet, but it's really good.
Yeah, it's a really great thing to do because obviously, you know, editors, we can either go and shoot our own films, or if we find people to collaborate with, but Edit Stock is an easier one. Obviously, you know, in the current lockdown situation, we can't go and shoot, so there's an alternative if you'd like to check it out.
And one thing I was actually told to do when I was at university was download a film, maybe try and do it as unillegally as possible, buy the film maybe, and I
was never sure if I wanted to try doing that.
I haven't actually done it. I used to just ask people for films in my class, and then cut it down into a 5-minute film. So that's like a really good way to work on your editing. And yeah, it's just something I used to do at uni. So these are some of the books we would recommend. I'm sure some of you have probably seen these books before. The Art of the Cut is my personal favorite. I used it in every single essay I had at university. It's like, for me, it's really interesting, but it talks about things like how to organize your bins, how to work with directors. And it's like, these are amazing, like, professional editors. Like you can see by the titles in the cover, like they've worked on some massive films, and it's just crazy to think like you're just working on like small budget film, but you can still kind of relate to some of the stuff they're saying, and you're like, oh yeah, I remember when I felt like that when I was working with that person. But yeah, definitely, I would definitely recommend going and using that book if you want any advice. And In the Blink of an Eye, another great book. And I was recently recommended when the shooting stops in another webinar from an editor. So I'm definitely going to be ordering that one before lockdown ends.
Thank you so much to Michael for sending me all of the colour grading books. Here, if you're interested in colour grading or if you're interested in post sound, these are some books which I found recommended on different post-production sites as well. And we have all of the links to all of these books, and we're going to be popping them in the Facebook group that we have. We have a Facebook group for runners, trainees, edit assistants in post-production. It's called Making the Cut. Sorry?
Anyone who wants to join.
Anyone who wants to join, anyone who's starting off in entry, we're all there.
We'll put the whole presentation into that group chat as well.
Yeah, all the links will be there as well. It'd be nice to meet some more people.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have to, after lockdown, have a little meetup.
Well, if 100 people join, it might turn into a huge gathering.
Big meetup.
So here's some podcasts and YouTube videos. One thing that I would also like to mention as well is, because of the current COVID, is that if you feel like this isn't something you want to look into at the moment, that is totally fine. You know, have a look at it later. So we're just going to share some things as well. So Women in Post is a podcast that's actually recently come out with professionals in post-production, which is great. This guy has a brilliant YouTube channel. One of my favorite videos on there is going inside what it takes to cut in a TV cutting room. That's a brilliant one. Let's Edit MC's different Avid tutorials, which are free. So, you know, that's another way to learn Avid, and many, many more. And Art of the Cut accompanies the book that Imogen was talking about. The Rough Cut, I think that's an Avid podcast, but they have professional editors on there if you'd like to gain some insight that way. And the Optimize Yourself podcast as well is brilliant. And I think I can't remember the name of the number of the episode. I think it might be episode 11, which it talks about on the Optimize Yourself podcast, which is what you don't learn in film school. So it's tailored towards entrance. So I'm gonna have another listen to that one as well. Oh, thank you for all your book recommendations. That I can see happening in the chat. So thank you so much to all of the industry professionals in Blue Collar Post Collective. We asked, what is one piece of advice that you would give to people starting out or entrants, and this is what they said. And this is all gold dust. So if anyone would like to screenshot, you know, take notes. I'm taking notes. Imogen's taking notes. So definitely.
I'm taking notes of what everyone's saying in the group chat. I'm just going through them.
I haven't had a look yet.
Yeah. Oh, iMovie.
Yep.
Yeah, love it.
all the old family travel videos on iMovie.
Oh yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. So here is I don't know, you can't see what I'm looking at now. Okay. So here is some of the advice that we've been given from some like amazing professional editors. We're just going to leave these on the screen for a little bit so you can take some time to read them.
I'm just going to mention that if you have any questions, please pop them in the Q&A section, because that's what we're going to be looking at when we come to the Q&A. Thank you so much. I think one of my favorite ones is you have to prove you have to prove your value over time. And you know, when you come into different cutting rooms and you sit in, or you know, you would like to sit in, you do have to, you know, demonstrate that you are worth their time, that they, you know, if you want to sit in, you have to demonstrate that you're passionate, demonstrate that you would like to learn, demonstrate that you're not going to waste their time as well. So I like that one. That's one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, definitely. That's really good, because also, for instance, like you might have proved in, like, for instance, at university that you're like the editing person, but if you go into a run like a post house and go, I'm an editor, everyone's just gonna like turn around and like laugh at you and be like, well, you're not, are you? So it's definitely important to like act like show that you are worth it, especially even when I was a post-production assistant. Like they didn't know I knew Avid, so when I did something in Avid, they were like, oh, okay, she knows what she's doing. Because like people, obviously no one knows you, so yeah, you have to prove yourself over time. I'm gonna move on.
See it as a yeah, good shout. See it as an opportunity to learn. You know, we all kind of know nothing really, but that's also kind of amazing, because what that means is that you can learn and you can ask questions. And learning from industry professionals is really the best way to do it.
Sorry, I'm just reading what everyone's saying.
I really like the one that says breaking in is like a game of Tetris. So I kind of feel like a lot of things to do with film editing are quite similar to Tetris. There might be just editing timelines and putting all the blocks together, but you know, you have to make your pieces fit.
Yeah, I like the one never stop learning. I think that's such a big one. For instance, when I was at university, I was editing, like when I was putting subtitles in, I was just using Title Tool. I'm sure most people, I don't know, that's how I was doing anyway. And then I went and worked at the creative agency, and they showed me a way where I literally didn't have to use Title Tool again. I just had to use like a TXT and like put it into this subs thing, and then all the like subtitles came out in like the perfect place. So yeah, like I wouldn't have known that. Like you're just like Avid's such a big thing that it's like you're constantly going to be learning. And like I've spoken to editors who are like, I really don't know Avid, I just leave it to like the assistants. So it's
Howard said that Title Tool is evil.
Yeah. don't go there. But yeah, like you might be able to teach someone who's like a lot like even above you something. So definitely like take every opportunity, soak it up, learn as much as you can. Yeah, I'm going to move on to the next one if everyone's done with that slide. There's quite a lot of text.
And post-production, we're constantly, you know, we've gone from tape to digital, and it's one of those industries that will constantly evolve and will constantly be learning new things. And you know, the VFX industry has suddenly boomed, so that's what personally I really love about it, is that you will never stop learning, and there's, you know, it's a great challenge to have.
I'm going to go on to the next one. I think that is the end. Oh no. So after being a runner, the next step is to either you can stay in a post-production house and you can become a assistant, a post-production become an offline edit assistant, or an online edit assistant, or you can go into become a post-production assistant like I did, or you can become an edit trainee, which we both did. Yeah, so there's lots of different places to go on, and definitely apply for the Screen Skills Trainee Finder. That's how me and Eleanor got to become trainees, and there's other really great trainee finders out there. So yeah, do your research.
And any job that you have will be transferable to any other job. So if you kind of have an idea of what you would like to do, then aim for it and just think, okay, well, how can I get myself there and really have that. But if you aren't quite sure yet, that's also brilliant, because every single post house you work in, every single film you work on, every single TV short film, everything's brilliant experience. And so if you have experience and you try out so many different things, that's brilliant, because then you can pick your favorite, and anything that you learn will be transferable to every other job that you have as well.
So questions, there's a lot of questions.
Okay, I'm going to open up the Q&A box.
I don't even know how.
Oh. Would you like me to read them?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for everyone's questions.
Thanks for all the questions.
Okay.
Have you found them?
Yeah, I'm having a read.
Are you okay, Eleanor? Do you want to start from the top?
Yeah, I'm just having a look at which ones to start with at the moment.
Okay.
So, if you have experience, Ben says, if you have experience in Premiere and haven't done Avid, MCR 101, 110, will that be a problem?
Will that be a problem becoming a runner, or?
I think in general.
I don't think so. I mean, if you're willing to learn Avid, and you can definitely get into a post-production house knowing Premiere, like Eleanor's kind of said before, if you tailor what you've done before, if it's working in Costa or wherever, anything you've done before, if you can use that and get in with that, knowing Premiere is actually just going to help you when you do start using Avid, because obviously they're not exactly the same, but there is definitely similarities between the two. So it would be easier for someone who knew Premiere to start on Avid, I would say, rather than if you didn't know any editing software at all.
Lucy says, I really enjoy editing and have edited a lot of short videos, but don't have experience in the actual film industry. I'm currently an AD trainee for Screen Skills. Oh, hello. fellow trainee. However, I also have editing open as an option for the future too. How can I start putting myself out there even though I don't have much experience? One thing that I would definitely say is networking. So one thing that you could do, and having come on to Screen Skills, what I've kind of realized is there's nothing stopping you emailing post-production supervisors.
It's mad how like young people can be so kind of elegant and confident, isn't it? Like she's like no more than 23. Yeah, and she's just so kind of
I think she's
mature and like
Mia,
able to talk in this like very kind of comfortable but slightly giddy, awkward way.
going to tell her microphone's on.
Nia, I think your microphone may be on.
Yeah, I was just talking about you.
Oh,
I
didn't hear anything you said, so
I was just saying how amazing you both were. Okay, carry on.
This is nothing bad.
Yeah, imagine.
Yeah,
You
so
answered the question.
definitely one thing that you can do is say, for example, you and myself and Imogen are going to be doing a lot more of this at the moment. Well, not at the moment, but in general.
Social distance. Can't.
Yeah. Is if you have a film or TV in, so for example, editing, you really, really enjoy, have a look on IMDb. You don't need to have the pro subscription, or the knowledge as well is a great resource, and look up who worked on it and then email them and ask them a question. And what I've been told is a good way of doing things is just having like one question, so don't bombard them with questions and just keep your email very short. And so just joining all these different Facebook groups, and joining in on the conversation, that's a great one that I'd suggest doing at the moment.
I'm just going to say that I've been advised not to message post-production supervisors during this time because you know, a lot of people are freelancers, so people are having their own money stresses and all kinds of stresses at the moment, so with work and what have you. So maybe wait until things ease off before, you know, like Eleanor says, bombarding people with emails. I'm definitely going to I'm going to wait until things calm down before I start messaging any post-production supervisors. Yeah, and if you do want to learn editing and you don't know it, definitely, like Eleanor's talked about already, go on to Edit Stock. That's a great one. Or download
tutorials.
a film. Yeah, tutorials.
YouTube.
Like, or make your own film, or just find footage and be like, I'm like, just download some footage and just put something together. Like, there's nothing stopping you. You know, you can make your own film up out of anything, really.
And if you're a Screen Skills trainee, then you're edit trainees, and we'd love to meet you, and we'd love to meet everyone on the call as well, and just get to know people and ask people questions as well. Francis says, what sort of pay can you expect working as a post-production runner? Living in London is expensive.
I'm going to be very real with you. I was paid minimum wage when I was a post-production runner. I did get to do overtime. Post-production houses, they vary. So some will pay more than others. I know in some post-production houses you can get paid up to £9 an hour. So it is about managing your money. Maybe don't do what Eleanor does and go and spend her money at every food place.
I had to stop.
Yeah, it was bad. I did the same. But yeah, so it isn't loads, but it's a foot in the door. You know, it's not just about the pay, it's about what can you learn from that experience.
Bectu at some point will be putting out a post-production survey, which is going to look into rates and post houses, so I'm sure we can possibly let people know what the findings are. Ryan says, I'm a post-production runner working at Films at 59 Bristol. Oh, amazing. I'm trying to make that next jump into becoming an offline editor. I've been doing training with some of the media operators to help me learn Avid and edit assistant jobs and tasks. Do you have any further advice to help me take the next leap?
Again, just networking, I think. Like, you can, and definitely whilst you, because he's a runner right at the moment.
Yes.
Yeah, so if you just go and speak to like every editor in, well, not every editor, but like we said, like big room, like go and connect with them, because if you, let's say, do become an edit assistant, and then you train up to become an edit assistant, then you can, from forming that connection with them, they might say to you, oh, hey, like, do you know, come and be an edit assistant on my show as my personal assistant. I remember, Eleanor, you told me you had a friend that did something like that.
Oh, yes. One of the edit assistants that worked in our post house, one of the shows that was in the post house was Gogglebox, and the Gogglebox producers really liked her when they worked with her, and so actually she got hired by the production company to be an edit assistant by the production company. And it depends what kind of route you would like to go down. So you say you would like to be an offline editor. If you know if you would like to be like a drama offline editor or a documentary offline editor, that's a really good question to ask, because then you'll have a better idea of who you do need to talk to, and questions that you can ask as well. And so if you are in a post house that has clients who work in the productions, like, so for example, if you're working in a drama post house and you'd like to possibly go into drama, then get to know the editors and people who work in the post house as you have been doing as an edit assistant, and obviously read the room and be very respectful and say thank you, but definitely get to know them a little better, and it will take time. Like, it won't just be like that. So, you know, over time, just every time you see them, get to know them a little bit more, ask some questions, and have like an elevator pitch kind of ready, so you can tell them about yourself as well. So,
and also, yeah, like what you were saying, telling them about yourself, like if you are Avid certified, let them know, like try and slide it into conversation. Don't just like run up to them and be like, I'm Avid certified, because they'll be like, whoa. Like, okay, because I was speaking to this one editor when he was finished on a show, and I made sure it was the end because he was very busy throughout. He was working on a comedy show for Channel 4, and he gave me his email address after he left and was like, if I'm ever big enough to have an edit assistant editor, like give me an email, or like, yeah. So you never know who you're going to meet, like we've said. So yeah, definitely put yourself out there as much as you can, basically.
Melina says, am I understanding correctly that offline editing is about formatting, encoding, such as taking the footage or the dailies from the camera and converting it to the AS11 standard format? Is that correct?
So being an actual offline editor, you're the person who's actually putting the film, the TV show, you're putting it together. But being an offline editor assistant, yeah, I think that's what that is.
Encoding different things. So if you're an offline editor,
converting, all that stuff.
yeah. If you're an offline editor, then you'll be going from assembly, rough cut through to pitch lock. So actually crafting the cut. If you're an online editor, to answer another question from Eleanor, yes, you'll be more dedicated to sound mix, the grading, and putting everything that
quality
comes
control
together.
basically.
Quality control.
Yeah.
And wiping out things that aren't meant to be there in the frame.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your question. What do you do, Ben says, what do you do in a trial shift for a post-production house?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's a great question.
What I did was I literally did some washing up. It was only an hour long, and I think I served like 1 tea and coffee. That was it.
What I did was, so for mine, what happens is I got put into the team of runners in one of the main buildings, and then they will tell you things you have to do, and then you'll go to the edit suites with your tray, and you'll practice. You'll be a runner, and you'll deliver teas and coffees. You'll prepare them, and they're just basically seeing how you work with. What I think, I'm not an employer, but what I think that they're looking for is someone who works well with clients and can demonstrate that they have the people skills.
Yeah, and works well in a team as well.
Works well in a team. Yeah. If you've ever done anything to do with teamwork, that's a brilliant part of being a runner. Is it better to start as a runner or assistant editor?
I think it depends on your experience. So if you do have the experience to become an assistant editor straight away, I would say it's probably better if you're going to work in a post house to start as a runner and then make your way to be an assistant. Actually, people can do it within 3 months. Like, the turnover can be super, super quick. So as long as you show how much you want to be an assistant, and you go and you let the people in MCR know, they'll give you the time and they'll help you out to become an assistant. Yeah.
When it comes to CVs, do you need to have a show reel if you are applying for a post house?
I wouldn't say a post house. I wouldn't say I wasn't asked to show a CV, show a show reel for a post house, but when I was a post production assistant, I was told to show my show reel. Yeah,
I think we can only really speak from personal experience.
But it completely depends on the post house. Like, some post houses might want to see that if it's very specific. So if they're like specifying in like sound, for instance, they might want to see whether or not, because if you do work in a post-production house and you want to go into sound or into grading, that is the perfect place to be, because that is where all the in-house staff are. So it's definitely important, I would say, in that kind of circumstance, if it's very specific, to show your CV, to show your show reel. Sorry.
Someone emailed into, so you can also email the Ref Assembly as well with any questions, and someone actually asked about show reels. So based on me observing a conversation between assistant editors, it seemed that if you are going to be a runner, you for that running job, you won't need what you do as a runner won't require a show reel, and possibly when you're assisting, it won't require a show reel. But it really depends, and ask professionals as well. What does MCR mean? MCR is a machine room where offline edit assistants work as well.
That was something
very cool.
That's something I did.
I didn't know what that was
either.
You have huge, and a library in a post house does not have books. I did not know that before. It's actually where hard drives are archived. I thought there were books. I was really confused.
You were like, "Can I get the art of the cut?" And they were like, "Sorry, wrong place." Any more questions? There seems to be.
Oh, Hannah, screen skills, edit, film trainee.
Hey.
So there's going to be a webinar with Aideen Johnston, who's a first assistant editor, all about assistant editing for beginners. And if you go to where you found the Eventbrite for this one, or you go to the refassembly.com, there's more information about that. Tickets aren't out yet, but That's where you can find everything. What is your Facebook group to join it? I'm going to. Sorry?
I'll go back through the slides.
That's a good idea. I can't remember if we put the link in. Did we put the link in?
Did you remove it?
What I'll do is I'll pop it in the chat right now.
You've literally just got your blog in here like 100 times.
I'm very proud of it.
It's really good, guys. You should definitely check it out.
I paid her to say that. No. Right, we'll just post the link in for the Facebook group, and we'll be putting all of the links that we've talked about today in there as well.
If you have any more questions as well, feel free to find us on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn. We're pretty much everywhere.
Okay, so I'm just going to pop the Facebook group there. Let me know if you can see that. Amazing. Oh, for a school leaver wanting to get straight into the TV world and learn on the job rather than complete a degree, how do you suggest doing this? Apprenticeships seem to be difficult to get. Do you have any tips? This is exactly what I did. So, you know, definitely it can be done. It can be done. And what I did was I went and I had a look on, I did some research, and I looked for, if you're interested in editing, I looked for jobs as a post-production runner. And I have a list on my blog. I have a list of different companies and their websites, which will have links to where you can apply on their websites to be a runner. Apprenticeships are a great way to go with Sky and different things. I don't know much about them personally, but they can be very difficult to get. But with different larger post houses, they will have like 50 runners or something, multiple locations. So the turnover, as Imogen was saying earlier, is quite quick. People will be moving up or changing jobs or different things. So that's a great way to go, is to actually learn on the job. And actually that's one of the reasons why I decided to go straight in from sixth form, because I really like learning on the job, and I really like the situation where I have to learn something new, and I enjoy the challenge of it. And sometimes, you know, when I don't know what to do, you just have to ask a question and then you can learn, and that's what I did. So yeah, definitely go for it. I hope that was a good answer.
Yeah, don't feel like you have to go to university, I think, or like, you know, I decided to go to university, but it's completely up to you and what feels right for you. So yeah, just do whatever feels right.
Cool. Francis says, could you explain a bit more about what your Screen Skills program is?
Okay, do you want to take this because you've actually got onto a TV show?
Yeah, so basically, thank you so much for Screen Skills. Screen Skills is a company, and one of the things I have is Screen Skills Trainee Finder. And we have a link on which we'll put on our Facebook group to becoming a trainee and their page for that. So what they do is they partner with production companies, so who have all these films. So for example, like Poldark, The Crown, Marvel, loads of different films. I've been mentioning The Crown so much, Imogen's gonna laugh at me.
But you basically choose to apply for either the high-end TV one or the film one.
Yes.
So Eleanor's got on the high-end TV.
High-end TV. And what you can do is you can be a trainee in different departments, and what will happen when you're on the placement is Screen Skills will send you placements that have come through, and an assistant that I was speaking to, assistant editor, she was saying that some productions, when they're hiring trainees, they'll only look for Screen Skills trainees. So that's just something that's good to know. And so what they do is throughout your year, you will be sent different placements which you can apply to, same as you're applying for a job. So for example, what happened is we got an email through, so all of the high-end TV editing trainees, we got an email through saying this show are looking for an editing trainee, and then the next day, so always check your emails, because the next day at 12 p.m. it will close and you have to send in your CV by then, and then the production company will look at all of the CVs that Screen Skills have sent them and then choose their trainee that they would like, and then you go for like a normal interview. And Screen Skills also offer great masterclasses, and you'll be put into like a Facebook group of your trainees, and we've been having quite a few Zooms recently as well to meet everyone. And it's a brilliant scheme. So thank you so much to Screen Skills.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to someone looking to advance from being a runner to a trainee in offline?
Well, if you're a runner, you're in the perfect place really, because you can go and speak to the people, like we've said before, in MCR, and go and try and become an offline editor. And whilst you're an offline editor, you can
Edit assistant.
edit assistant. Offline editor, yeah. You're not
Or if you want to be an offline editor.
if you want to be an offline editor, you can then go and apply to be a trainee. But you don't necessarily have to be an offline editor to apply to be a trainee. So one thing with the trainee finder is they're looking for people who've got less than a year in the industry. So so people who've just left from university or from school, or just anyone like that. So it doesn't matter if you haven't been an offline assistant or you haven't been a post-production assistant. If you want to apply to be a trainee, it's completely about you as a person and your passion, and that's what they're looking for. So don't feel that you can't apply for it because you aren't an assistant editor or a post-production assistant.
Exactly.
Everyone should
apply. Louis or Lewis says, thank you so much, both of you, for taking the time to share your story and also talking us through the process. Oh, no problem. Really beneficial as a recent grad. Would it be possible for this PowerPoint presentation to be made available to attendees after it finishes? The whole webinar is recorded, and you can find it at www.theruffassembly.com afterwards.
And we'll be putting it on our Facebook group if we're allowed to do that.
Yeah. Oh, it'll be on YouTube.
Yeah.
The Rough Assembly have a YouTube channel as well.
Yeah.
It's called The Rough
And
Assembly.
you're going to be posting all the links for the books, aren't you, Eleanor? In the
yes yeah, we have all of the links to all the books, which will pop in the Facebook group. So and we can see if we can put them onto the Rough Assembly website as well. Thank you so much for your question. Do you know any good sites that post a lot of running jobs in London and the southeast for film and television series? Because most sites don't have many opportunities, if any, posted. Most of the things that I find are on Facebook, of all places. There's many, if you're further in your career, so for example, if you're an assistant editor, there's many Facebook groups for assistant editors where they all post different opportunities to each other. The unit list is a great one to have a look at. And
LinkedIn, always, like I've said already, like keep your LinkedIn like available. You never know, like add people on LinkedIn, post-production supervisors or other runners, and ask them questions and see whether or not maybe people know if there's any other jobs available, because sometimes they're not advertised in a very like formal way on an actual like website. So like I've had people giving me interviews just from like messaging me on LinkedIn. So yeah, definitely.
I've just popped the website address of all of the post-production companies, because as Imogen was saying, a lot of them don't advertise, so you actually go onto their website, so go onto the post-production house website to have a look as well. What should we be doing with our time at the moment as entry-level editors? I'm in university and trying to upskill myself as much as possible. I think you're already doing amazing by coming to the webinar. Thank you so much for coming. All of the books that we've talked about, maybe have a read of those if you would like to have a look at any YouTube tutorials to learn.
All the podcasts that Eleanor,
all the podcasts, everything. They are all written and developed by professionals in the industry. And definitely have a look at Eddie Hamilton's advice page as well. I think it's just www.eddiehamilton.com/advice as well, which I found extremely helpful. And then again, if no one really feels like having a look at anything at the moment because of COVID, that's like, don't worry.
Yeah, don't put pressure on yourself.
as well. I've applied for so many runner roles but never gotten any. What are your best tips, please?
Who's that?
Anonymous.
Ooh.
Um,
I would just say, when everything reopens again, like I was saying before, go around all the post-production houses. Like, if people see your face, you're more than just like an email address. Like, they're more likely to give you an interview. You never know, like, you could go up to reception and the manager could be standing there and they might say, oh my god, this person wants to be a runner. They're like, oh my god, we literally have an opening for, like, you never know. So take a day trip to London or to Manchester or wherever is your closest place, and go and walk around those streets and just give in as many CVs as possible. Like, it seems really scary, but like, most likely the people in reception are going to be super nice and have also been runners, like I've said already. So
exactly.
yeah, I would definitely try to do that. Or just email, like, actually just try and find the email address to the people in, like, is it HR you email if you want a job? Oh, that's
HR, head of client services, on their team pages. And if you know don't get a job, don't worry. I've applied to, when I was running, I applied to a couple of different post houses and I wasn't successful. So don't give up, basically. And if you'd like to post your CV into the people looking for TV work runners, they have guidance, so definitely look at their CV guidance they have, and then feel free to post your CV in and they will give you feedback on it as well. And be very polite and demonstrate you're passionate. And one of the post houses that I applied to, I wrote them, some of them I didn't write enough, and some of them I wrote a huge massive letter in like an email, and I recommend not doing that. But there's lots of different CV and cover letter advice on the people looking for work TV runners Facebook page. So
and also think about the time of year you do apply. Like, I applied, in fact I was applying whilst I was still at university, so I was going for work experience before I'd even graduated. Obviously you can't do that now, but maybe for the following year or once things reopen, because as I am aware, there are runners still working at the moment, so there may be people still looking for jobs, but I don't know. I think it might be slightly limited as well because of COVID. So yeah, definitely think about the time of year. So definitely like Christmas time where it's really busy, and summertime when it's really busy.
Eleanor and Imogen, I'm just giving you the heads up that we've got about 10 minutes left. Okay.
Oh, okay. Amazing.
Cool. I was thinking this.
Thank you.
So I don't know if you want to choose like a couple of last questions that we've not touched upon at all.
Okay, I'll have a look through.
Yeah.
What's the best advice? Louise says, what's the best advice you've ever been given by a professional? That's a really great question. Oh my goodness.
I have to think about this.
Oh my goodness, there's so many. One thing actually that will happen when you're a runner and editors and different clients will come down to the kitchen and just have a chat with you. One of the best pieces of advice that I've been given in a circumstance I didn't think I'd learn it was, I was running in the kitchen and one of the editors came down, and because he was just started all chatting to us in the kitchen, he gave us the advice about creating select reels when you edit. So any opportunity that you're in a post house is an opportunity to learn. And I went and applied that technique to one of my short films, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. Yeah.
I think one thing that I've been told was that if someone like criticizes you, don't take it personally. So for instance, during my screen skills interview, they kind of ripped my CV to shreds, if I'm going to be honest with you. So I literally went home, like changed everything they had told me to change and just sent it in straight away. And I was like, I'm not going to be offended by this. I'm just going to like sort it out straight away. So yeah, I think, yeah, don't be offended if people don't like your work, or, you know, just change it and just listen and take on their advice.
And also realize that we all are starting out, and there is so much that we can learn and do need to learn as well. That's another one that I was very grateful to get as well.
I don't know why I can't see the questions.
If you on the Q&A box,
I click it but nothing happens.
That's weird. Let me just, because I've been listening to you, so let me just try and find something that we haven't covered. Is that okay?
yeah, go for it.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so you did Lauren, didn't you? Is screen skills only 1 year? And if so, would you suggest joining after this?
Yes, I think someone asked when Screen Skills opens. When did it open? I think I had my...
Oh, I know. Well, when the applications open, it was in November. I remember because I was literally counting, because I found out about it in like May, and I was literally like counting down the months to like apply to it, and then I finally was able to apply to it, and I was just like, finally, it's happened. And then it gives you have like a month to apply, and there's like different boxes, like they ask you different questions, like why you want to go into film, or why you want to go into high and TV, what job you want to do, why do you want to do it. There's quite a few different questions, so you have to write quite a lot about yourself, and about why you're passionate about this specific, if you want to go into editing or sound or whatever one.
Okay. Can I respond to Akash's question? Is it more valuable if you're an aspiring editor to work with up and coming directors and producers on short films to build connections that could pay dividends later on? I remember being in one of the very first ever Rough Assembly talks, and this was definitely a yes from people who are kind of flying in their careers at the moment. And what was also really interesting is that they advised all the attendees to actually go to events and go to networking events with people who were producers and directors, actually, as opposed to just editing, because it would give you more of a kind of insight into who you wanted to work with and who you gelled with, because, you know, at the end of the day, it's going to be a director that you're going to be in the cutting room with, and not another editor. So it's definitely worth it. And also, you know, there's always going to be passion projects. So even last week they were saying, weren't they, Eleanor, it's like in your spare time, it's just always good to be like cutting shorts and you know, just kind of remain like practicing. So yeah, definitely.
100%.
Okay, it's I'm just gonna say it's 9 o'clock. So do you want to just do like a little wrap up?
Okay, so thank you so much, everyone, for coming to our webinar. We'll be posting all of the links to everything on our Facebook group, which is called Making the Cut. If you search it up, it'll be on there. We'll also have a look at posting everything onto the Rough Assembly website, which is www.roughassembly.com. I will also be sending everything. If you would like to subscribe to the blog that I have, I'll put everything in a newsletter as well. If you'd like to ask us any questions, this is our Instagram handles. Feel free to send us a message and ask a question. Thank you very much for coming.
Yeah, thank you, Eleanor, for inviting me onto the panel as well. And thank you, Bectu, for having me as
Thank you so much, Nia, for all your work.
It's absolutely fine. Just just to say, I can say it now that I've got the platform and not that I'm just not on mute. I was just saying how brilliant you both are, and just how amazing it's been that you are so young in your careers and also in age, and that you've put this on. It's really impressive, and Bectu really values your time, and especially you, Eleanor. You're working so hard with the committee and everything, and it's really fantastic. So yeah, just to say that, and to say that next week, who do we have next week, Eleanor?
We have a conversation between
we have
sound and picture assistants.
Before the sound and between the sound and picture assistants. No.
Yes. Yeah, I think so.
Is that what we have next week? Okay. All right.
So many webinars.
I know. Yeah, if you want to learn any more about Bectu, I'm sure that, like, many of your tutors will be aware of the union, and also the Rough Assembly is the Bectu post-production and facilities committee, who are just amazing. So if you are coming into the industry and you're hoping to stick around in post, then you are in absolutely fantastic hands, and we hope you can join us next week. It's going to be every Wednesday, hopefully, at 7:30. So check the Bectu website or the Rough Assembly website, because it'll be on there too.
So thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Can I stay around and answer people's questions on the?
Yeah, of course.
Q&A?
Yeah. Go ahead. I think it'll probably run for about another 15. So you just go. I'll leave you to it. Okay.
Cool. Amazing.
Yep. Okay.
Thank you so much, Nia.
Thank you.
Can you see them yet? Or
I can't see the question.
Okay. We'll keep going if anyone would like to stay around. So. Oh, this is quite an interesting question. So James says, when sitting in on an edit, is it considered rude to make suggestions if you see something worth suggesting?
No, go for it. I mean,
no, I think they're talking about editors.
I think if they ask for your input and they say, what do you think? Then yeah, it's totally okay.
If they don't ask, I personally, I would say 100% don't say anything.
No, yeah, don't say anything. It's not your place.
Yeah.
I was sitting in on a graphics designer making a little thing for Channel 4, and he just said, what did you think? And I just said something about, I mean, I know nothing about graphic design or anything, and I just gave a tiny little bit of advice, and he was like, oh, thanks, that's such a good idea, kind of thing. So I was like, it was good that I put myself out there, even though it was completely like something I don't want to go into. But yeah, definitely, if you do get the opportunity to give advice, then yeah, if they ask, yeah.
Only if they ask.
Yeah.
Lauren says the majority of the editors working in post houses freelancers.
Yeah, all the
Offline.
I would say all the people who are working on the TV shows and the films, they would be freelancers. Yeah.
Who are offline editors, and then all the online editors tend to be in-house.
In-house, yeah. You want to work your way up to become an in-house online editor. It's a good place to start in a post house.
How long was your CVs when you applied for your current position? Was it 1 or 2 pages?
It was 1 page, but I did it landscape, and that's what they really hated at screen skills. But I've changed it.
Really? I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, I really liked it.
It was different. It was new.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. My for the post-production assistant role, they really liked it, but I think it completely depends on which industry you're going into. So they just want everything on 1 page, not too much waffle. I was also told in the screen skills advice I had the other day that they don't want you to like rate your skills like good communicator like 4 out of 5 or something like that. Like they really don't like things like that. So yeah, just put down your skills, like the software, I mean, like we've said before, we're not CV experts by any, I mean, my CV was slated, so I'm really not the one to ask about CVs probably, but yeah, just portrait, 1 page,
Yeah.
title, call
Often,
yourself a runner under your name, or a
mm,
trainee, or a assistant, or whatever job you're applying to and whatever applies to you at that time.
always spell check.
Yeah, especially if you're dyslexic like me.
And in when you're titling it, just put your name. What I've been told is put your name, your role, and then CV dot, and make sure that
Yeah.
everything's looking good. Mm-mm.
Oh, that's a nice thing.
Oh, do you recommend? Lucas says, do you recommend any workshops that can be very useful to give it a go?
Do you want to take this one? Because I learned Avid at university, so I didn't really do workshops to learn Avid.
Definitely the one
Oh.
that's going to be coming up for assistant editing and beginners. That's a brilliant one, and that will be brilliant for anyone who's a runner or a trainee, or assisting to learn something new. Even though you won't be a beginner, so but you never know. Definitely, Let's Edit MC on YouTube is really good for Avid tutorials. But just have a practice. DaVinci Resolved is free, which is brilliant, because if you just find some footage and then import it and just have a practice editing, edit any videos that you've taken, any family videos, any travel videos. That's kind of how I started. I started learning iMovie.
They've also got on DaVinci, they've also got like tutorials for grading as well, because obviously it is predominantly for grading, DaVinci. So definitely have a crack at learning some grading. In fact, actually, one piece of advice, because this has come back to me, that last question about advice, I was told to learn all the software as much as I could. So I was told that it's really good if you know After Effects, and if you know DaVinci, and if you're able to grade, and if you're able to do the sound mix. Because when I was running, I was speaking to some editors, and they were saying they would do like a temporary sound kind of mix. So it's if you know how to do that, not necessarily know how to use Pro Tools, but just know how to like assemble something that sounds decent, and yeah, is kind of like in place for the sound designer before it goes into sound. Yeah, definitely do that. So yeah, definitely learn softwares.
And on the show that I'm working on at the moment, in our team, the first assistant creates temp VFX and temp sound effects as well. So one of my roles as a trainee was pulling in temporary sound effects, laying it into the edit for the editor. So anything that you can learn, for example, After Effects for VFX, and creating all those temp effects is brilliant.
Didn't you have to make a cloud rain?
Oh, that was for my short film. I was really proud. I made a cloud rain on After Effects.
Awesome.
Do you know, Grace says, do you know any specific editing courses? How did you do your Avid exams?
I did it all at university. So is Grace at university, or?
I'm not sure.
Yes. I don't. There is a website. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but they do offer like editing. If you just Google like Avid exams, you can find stuff. Like I feel like it's Soho something. It's Soho. I can't remember.
Oh, they have courses. They're very expensive.
Yeah, I think it's Soho editors, but yeah, it is. They're really expensive. So you can look at those, or you can
YouTube
just learn on
tutorials.
YouTube tutorials, or Lynda,
Books.
like we said, books.
I think Avid Uncut is a
You
good
can
book.
even just buy, I'm pretty sure you can just order the Avid exam books. Like, don't necessarily feel like you have to become a certified user. You can just like order the books and learn Avid through that. Or like, I think
Another way.
I sent you all the questions, all the answers
All
to
the answers to the questions.
all the answers to the Avid questions, which is a great way to learn, right? Was it cool?
Yeah, it was really good. So you don't necessarily have to take an exam,
No.
and you don't have to take a certain course. But Inside the Edit is a good. I haven't tried it, and I think you have to pay for it. But I think they are offering the first level and maybe up to 3 for free during COVID. I'm not sure, but definitely have a look and see if that's something that you would like to go into as well.
Yeah, someone's just said here that you can order the books, but you don't have to take the exams. Thank you, Howard, for that.
Amazing. For someone who has left university studying something other than film and now finds themselves wanting to get into the TV film production industry, but doesn't have money or the availability to go back to university and zero previous experience in filmmaking or editing, what would be the best and most realistic place to start? So someone who is coming out of university and hasn't done film, where the most realistic place to start?
Probably a post-production house.
As a runner.
Yeah.
Would be so, because it gives you great experience. People, you don't have to do, if you would like to do a degree in something that's not related to film and then go into film down the line,
Honestly,
go for it.
Because what you might learn at university may help you if you want to, I don't know, become a writer or, you know, whatever. Just do, like, study what you want, and if you want to go into film and TV later on down the line, that's fine. Like, I met 2 producers at my last company who had both studied languages, and now they're producing. So, you know, you don't have to go to film school, and you don't have to go to university.
I think one of the heads of post-production in a very well-known company did a degree in journalism. So it doesn't matter, but if you'd like to start off, then a post house and becoming a runner and meeting people and networking, joining all the Facebook groups is a great place to start, I think.
Yeah.
Claudia says, I'm in my 3rd year of studying TV production at Bournemouth Uni.
It's not my uni.
Oh, and have been editing things.
It's the uni next to my uni, or my old uni.
Oh, okay.
It's still a good uni.
And I've been editing things for it, but a lot of the projects feel quite studenty, and my final grad project got cancelled due to the coronavirus, so I don't have much of a show reel to show employers. Do you have any advice for this?
The same thing.
Yeah.
This happened to my friends who are still at university, at Arts University Bournemouth. So I don't know how it works specifically at that university, but the people who weren't able to edit their grad because it didn't get filmed, they then edited another grad. So maybe see if you can ask some other people on your course if you can get the rushes from their film and do your own cut of the film.
And you know, everything that's when I was started running, my show reel was very studenty, and so that's totally fine as well. But what you can do if you want, you know, when everything runs back up, attend different events and meet people, because whoever you meet, you know, whoever you run with, they will be your crew.
Exactly.
So yeah,
work whilst you're at uni as well, like keep in contact. Like there's some people who are like great graders that I would always speak to. I just did I edited a short film for someone who wants to be a director. We also got the cinematographer, and we got all the crew, all the people who helped out on camera. They were all from the uni as well in the years below. So yeah, just network with your whole year.
Meet everyone.
You
never know.
Go to all the, like, it's not hard. Just most of these places, it's all drinking as well. So just get a drink, get a bit of Dutch courage, and you'll be fine.
If you're overage, I'll put that out there.
Yeah, I mean, I hope if you're at university, you are. So, it'll be weird if you weren't.
Hi, Lewis is doing an MA in post-production editing at Bournemouth. A lot of Bournemouth people coming in.
Is it
Hello.
Bournemouth or is it Arts University Bournemouth?
Just says Bournemouth.
Okay.
Was wondering, from both your experience, is a CV more effective when applying for running work or a show reel?
Both. I think you need. Oh, for running, sorry.
For running.
Running CV.
Yeah, CV, because what they're looking for is and well, being a runner is like an entry level job. So if you have no experience, it's perfect. That's what happened to me. I had no experience, and definitely what they're looking for, if I can get my words correct, is someone who is going to be good at working with people in a team. All of the different tasks that you have to do as a runner, meeting clients, taking different phone calls from the public, your phone manner. Are you polite? Are you good to be around? Are you energetic? Are you positive? Are you motivated? Are you passionate about the industry that you'd like to work in? So if you can demonstrate all those things on your CV, then it's a great place to start, really. Like working customer service, handling things under pressure, taking responsibility as well.
Gonna end soon.
Oh yeah.
If there's any questions that we haven't answered, like anything.
What's that? Would you recommend for or against doing an MA degree in editing? So would you recommend doing a degree?
I feel like it's so individual. Like if I applied to, for instance, like NFTS and I got into editing, I would 100% do it. I don't think I'd even think. I think about whether or not. I mean, it's the same. Do you think it's worth doing a BA in editing? I think the great thing about that is you will be networking with people. You'll get the opportunity to edit loads of stuff, so edit loads of fictions, documentaries, whatever the course offers. So it's a really great place to build up your show reel. So yeah, I think definitely look into the university and think whether or not, like, look at the look how it is looked upon in the industry. Like NFTS is really looked upon like really highly in the industry. So yeah, I think about places that
And there's different advantages and disadvantages to going to uni. Myself and Imogen, we've both taken very different paths, and we're at the same point. So I think that's really interesting to have a look at. And from my experience of not going to university, it's definitely more difficult because I came into industry and I didn't know anyone. And what I do think that's given me is kind of, but you can have this anyway, is if I don't meet anyone or if I don't network or anything, I will have nothing. So I will be very stuck. So it's definitely given me a drive to have to meet people and get to know people and have to attend these events. But you can do that while obviously by being at university, going to film school. It is a lot harder. It's sometimes it's a struggle. And when I'm learning things, I tend to sometimes learn too many things at once. So you have to kind of pace yourself. But it's also a great opportunity to learn on the job. As well, which is my favorite way of learning, which is why I chose this particular path. But you just do whatever you would like to do for you. There's no right answer, there's no wrong answer. It's basically, as Imogen said, completely up to you and what you think's best for you and your family.
The good thing, if you do go to a film school, it's one thing that I specifically found was it's a really good place to start working with people on short films. Whilst I was at university, I worked with so many different people who wanted to be directors and producers. So I got to have loads of different experiences, which was really great. And I feel like I can use that when I go into like the real like film world. I also felt comfortable to kind of make mistakes as well at university level. Whereas I want to try, obviously it's fine to make mistakes, like we've said before, and to ask questions, it's fine. But I feel like it was a safer place to do that when I was at uni.
Yeah. It's a really great question. I'm just finishing university, but I've only now at the very end decided to go into post. I haven't done much editing on my course as I was pursuing producing. I feel like I might have missed out on some valuable editing experiences. Is there anything you found very valuable while editing at uni, which you think I should definitely teach myself before trying to run?
Like I think it's like what we've been saying already is definitely learn Avid, like we've said, and definitely just try and cut as much as you can. Network, go to events, find people who are making short films and tell them that you'll do it. You're edit it, if just take every opportunity you can. Just put yourself out there. Make, if you haven't had any editing experience, you can go onto Edit Stock. You can use that the stuff from Edit Stock in your actual showreel, can't you, Eleanor? You can put it in your showreel.
Yes, yeah, you can. One of the films I edited on Edit Stock, you can use as your portfolio. So if you don't have the crew and you haven't met anyone, which was definitely me, and definitely, during lockdown, that's a great option.
Definitely, yeah, 100% do that. And also just speak to like other people at your university, and like if you've got a friend who can teach you Avid, like ask for their time, or if they've even got like the Avid books, like ask if you can borrow them. And yeah, definitely see if you can get a discount whilst you're still a university student on Avid, so you can get it. It's only £9 a month. It's not loads, and pretty sure all the student loans have come in now, so definitely get it.
Mm, I'm just having a look through. How easy and feasible is it to apply for work experience or placements while studying? During summers, I have to work pretty much full time, as a lot of other students do, so it sort of forces you to take only paid experience, which can be rare to find. How willing are post houses to be flexible, e.g. work experience for 3 days or a week if your uni is 2 days a week?
Sorry, I missed that question.
How easy and feasible is it to apply for work experience or placements while still studying?
Oh yeah,
You applied for work experience.
Oh yeah, like it's really easy. Like I did a unit at the end of my year called professional development, which basically made us have to think about whether or not what we wanted to go into. So actually a part of that was to start emailing people, and the more we email people, the better marks we got. So there was like a motivation, I guess, from actually getting a better university mark, but also motivation because I wanted to get a job. Like I literally wanted to leave university and be like, I've got a job. So yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously it is difficult at the moment, but message post houses, like things are going to hopefully be back to normal maybe by July, maybe. So yeah, start apply. You can start messaging people at post houses, I would say. I did it whilst I was still at university, but it's a very different circumstance at the moment, so it might not be the same for you. But if you are in your second or your first year at university, and you want to start applying to stuff in your for your third year, then yeah, definitely. I started messaging people in around February, April kind of time, and then I had 2 work experiences during my uni course, which was really good, so I was ready straight away.
How long was the work experience that you did?
The work experience, so I did 2. One was 5 days, and no, actually one was 5 days, one was 4 days, and one of them actually did pay for my lunch and my transport, which was really good. And the other one didn't, but I got a lot of training with both of them, so like I took as much as I could from them. But yeah, it definitely made it easier for me to get a job straight away. But I think try and look for places that do offer you something, like if it's pay, or if it's paying for your lunch or your transport, and definitely if they offer training. You don't want to just be making teas and coffees. What about you? No, you didn't do work experience, did you?
It's funny because I applied for work experience and then the job came out and I was like, I'm gonna.
You're just gonna go and get the job.
Charlie says, "What's the hardest question you've been asked in an interview?" That's a really good question.
I feel like when you're in an interview, every question seems really hard. It just feels like you can't talk, or maybe that's just me.
No, I'm the same.
I'm
Oh my goodness.
I was asked a weird question. I was asked what would my favorite like day be.
Oh yeah. I remember you told me about that.
So that was a pretty random question. In fact, the person who gave me the interview, she came in without any shoes on. She was pretty relaxed. She just had her socks on, and we just sat on a sofa in an audio suite, and it was just really chilled. Like that's one thing well, not every post house, but some places it's really chilled. People are pretty relaxed. So definitely, if you go to an interview, don't be wearing like a suit. Like, be like in
smart,
not casual. Yeah, like black. Go for black. That's what I'd say.
That's a good shout.
Yeah, wear trainers as well. Like, don't be going in with high heels or anything, or like boots.
Or smart shoes, not just trainers.
Yeah. But like anything that you're going to be comfortable in, because you're going to be walking around like.
Oh yeah, of course you'll be doing a trial hour.
Exactly. So, but I mean, just generally as a runner, like invest in a good pair of trainers
and good trousers.
Yeah.
Although
I just wore jeans.
Did you?
Yeah, I wore blue jeans. Like denim jeans. Like everyone was wearing black jeans and I just was like, well, that person's not. Well, apart from one person. And I was like, I'm gonna do that. And then I never got told off for it. So
yeah, some post houses you'll have a
uniform,
and then other post houses you'll just wear your own black.
Yeah. One thing actually I haven't
clothing.
mentioned, which I should have, is when you are a post-production assistant or a trainee, you will still be doing running duties. Like running duties don't end after you lose the title runner. So you won't escape giving people teas and coffees. Like in my last job, I still had to sort out the dishwasher. I still had to take the bins out at the end of the day, go around, ask people if I didn't have to, I'll go and ask people if they wanted tea and coffee, but if someone was like, looked really like into their work, like editing, then yeah, I would. And people would do the same to me. People would be like, oh, Imogen, do you want a tea or something? I'd be like, first I felt awkward. I was like, no. And then I was like, yeah, I will. So, yeah.
And editors will make tea for their assistants.
Yeah, and
assistants make tea for editors, and everyone makes tea. So
people want a break. People want a break from their work, don't they?
Yeah, it's just being a team, really.
Yeah.
Just answering someone's question. Do you think it's best to try contacting companies that specifically offer runner positions, or try others too? And also, any tips if you email someone but don't have a reply? That is a good question. I think when you're emailing people, they are in the industry, they are very busy. So if it's been a little bit of time, don't worry, and just wait a little bit more. Obviously,
don't
right. What did you say?
No, you go on.
So obviously, like if you've been emailing them recently, it's a very different time at the moment, so it may not be the right time. But they're, if it's been a while and you haven't received a reply, personally what I do is I just send a polite email to follow up.
I was told in screen skills that you should like leave like a few months for asking for a job, specifically if you're asking for a job. If you're asking, sometimes it's better to email people, just ask them questions. Yeah. Like I messaged someone on LinkedIn the other day, an edit assistant, asking them questions. They didn't get back to me, but I'm not going to I'm not gonna like message them constantly and be like, hey, I'm like, give me your information, because people are really busy, like we've said, during this time.
Exactly. To what extent, Michael says, to what extent is the role of a trainee creative compared to technical? So you'll be a runner, and then, so for example, if you'd like to go into drama, TV or feature films, normally what happens is you have a runner, and then you become a trainee or post-production assistant, and then you become a trainee, and then you will become a third assistant editor, second assistant editor, first assistant editor, and then editor, if you would like to go into offline. And definitely all of the assisting and trainee roles are much more technical than creative. So for example, some of the roles that I have to do at the moment is creating different lists. So I came onto this job at the end of the job, so towards the end of the job, and one of the things that we have to do is turn everything over. And what that means is we have to send very specific files to the different departments that are going to come on next. So for example, the VFX department and the color department, the colorist, the sound designer, online. We have to send them very specific files for everything. So it's a lot of different spreadsheets, and that's very technical. And working in Avid as well is very technical, but it's also creative, because one thing that I also had to do was get sound effects and lay them onto the sequence for the editor. And so I had to choose where I wanted to put them, and obviously that will then go to the editor, so that's just like a temporary thing. So it is also creative. And when you're assisting, and then there's also assembly editor and then editor, and assembly editors will edit the assemblies, so they'll create them, but first assistants may also create assemblies, and they may also do recaps. So when you watch a TV episode and then you have the "this happened before" part, and then you'll have a recap of what's happened previously, and then it will go into the episode. So assistants may do that as well. So it is also creative as well. It's what you make it, really. And one thing that I like doing is when we've got some spare time, I will have a practice of assembling in Avid as well. So that is also creative.
Yeah, when I was
Michael.
not that it is a trainee, not that it was a trainee job, but when I was a post-production assistant, I was actually doing some of the edits. So recently, actually, I edited something for Unilever that went on to Unilever's Instagram. So,
Awesome.
so you do get to, if you decide you want to go to like a creative agency, they'll be making content for corporate companies. So you will actually get the opportunity to edit. It completely depends though on the company, to be honest. But yeah, that's just one thing I did get to do, which was amazing. Like, it was like the second day, and the owner of the company comes up to me and says, "Can you edit this for me?" It was just an interview, and I was just like shocked. I was like, "Are you sure? Are you sure you want to do this?" And it was literally like the most simple thing, but I got so stressed out by it, because I was like, "Oh my god, this is like actually going out to a company to watch." But yeah, so you do.
Amazing.
You do get the opportunity.
It was brilliant as well.
If you do.
So.
Oh yeah, that was something else, but yeah.
Julia says, how important is it to know how to run and utilize SAN and NAS servers like Avid and Nexus? Do you just learn on the job? That is a really interesting question. Personally, I learned on the job. Avid Nexus is a shared storage for Avid, and I learned on the job. So yes, you can definitely learn on the job. I believe it's something that you'll also be looking at if you're an offline edit assistant as well, in a machine room MCR in post-production houses. What's a typical route up progression in your career in terms of roles? That is a brilliant question. I feel like there's so many different things. because myself and Imogen both started off as runners, and then Imogen became a post-production assistant, and now we're both edit trainees for drama, offline drama. But there's so many different. I tried to make a map of it for the presentation, but there's so many different roles that you can have. You can be a post-production runner and then progress up to head runner, or you could go from post-production runner to an offline edit assistant, or you go to an audio assistant, VFX assistant, color grading assistant. I'm not particularly sure what the name of their roles are, but in drama you'll be a trainee, and then you'll go up through the assisting routes and then become an assembly editor or become an editor as well.
We've still got people in the group. No one's fallen asleep. A few people are still there.
We've got 36 people. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I want to I want to be able to see everyone. I want everyone to chat. All the messages.
I still haven't read the chat. I do need to read the chat.
Put their Instagrams in. I don't know if we can like save the chat so we can add people on Instagram.
I think we can actually. Yeah, these are our Instagrams if you'd like to message us a question as well. What type of showreel? Emma says, what type of showreel do you think is best for an editor? So just to clarify, if you're becoming a runner, so if you come out of uni, then you'll be a runner and your CV maybe will be more effective for this. But say you actually wanting to be an editor, one of all projects to a soundtrack, or going through projects one by one with the original sound. I've read and been told pros and cons of both, just wondering which you believe is best. I was reading a conversation between assistant editors about showreels, and so if you're looking to be assisting or being a runner, then your CV and demonstrating that you can run a cutting room, this is what they've said, will be more effective. But if you're looking for a showreel, one suggestion, someone told me that if you would like to go into short form or advertising or digital, anything that's going to like quick cuts, then cutting together things quickly to a soundtrack may be more effective. Or say another editor told me that if you'd like to go into something like drama, then actually demonstrating that you can, cut a scene that has pause, and cut a scene that has action sequences, cut a scene with emotion, and demonstrate all those different crafts, and having different scenes instead of a show reel that has films after each other is more effective. But that's what they've said.
I mean, because I applied for being a post-production assistant, they really did want to see my show reel. So I think
depends on the job.
Yeah, it really depends on the job. Like for variety, I just put everything I'd done at university onto my show reel. My show reels, you can check it out. It's on my Instagram actually, and on my plugging myself. So what I did is I just started off like a little shot of each film I'd done, and then I went into actually showing some of the actual edits. One thing I have been told to do is I do have music on my show reel underneath, like just in it, and I was told to let like the sound, like conversations, like come through, so don't just have music, because they want to see how you've cut the audio, well, not the audio, but cut the scene together, so it'll give a better sense of the scene. I was also told not to like for your show reel, because I at university wanted it to be like 5 minutes, but when I got into industry they were like, we literally want it to be like a minute, so I've like cut mine down to a minute. So it's better for it to be shorter, because they might not want to watch the whole thing, and they definitely won't want to watch 5 minutes. So if you put your best stuff at the beginning of your show, what you consider your best stuff, so if you went to university, put all your graduation films at the beginning of your show reel, and also any other work you may have done. If you haven't gone to university, just any work, your top work, what you think is the best. just make sure that's right at the front, because most likely they might not even watch the whole thing. They may if it's only a minute though. So yeah, show that you've done.
So really good advice.
Yeah, just show that you've worked on lots of different stuff. I think that's really, well, specifically for the post-production job I was doing, that was really good because we worked with animation, so I'd already cut some animations. So they were like, oh my god, they thought I'd animated it. I was like, I did not animate that. I can't even draw. So just put everything in there. But yeah, think about, you might have to recut for each job you do. But yeah, it's most likely, you won't be going in and editing a TV show or a film or anything like that. So I feel like I don't even think I didn't send my show in for the trainee scheme. They don't really, it's not really about that. It's about you. It's about you as a person. Like, it's connected to my screen skills profile, but it's not necessary.
So definitely, if you're going to running or trainee or assisting, other than post-production assistant, I feel like it's a whole nother ball game.
I mean, a creative agency is very different from going to TV or film.
So if you're going into assisting or being a trainee, then definitely your CV and you as a person will be more valuable in your interview than a show reel.
But definitely, keep making films.
Also have it.
Keep making films, like keep editing whilst you're being a trainee and whilst you're being a runner. I was told not to mention Mandy because it is free work, but you can, I know from AUB, from university, you can get 3 months free on Mandy. So try to avoid places where you do have to pay for fees. But if you do go onto Mandy, there's loads of films, paid work. So try and go for the paid work opportunities. And that's a good way to meet other people, and also just like speak to like directors in your year and whatnot, and just try and see if they're making anything else after uni, and just be like, I really want to edit it or whatever.
Yeah, if you go for it, just ask people, otherwise it won't happen.
You have to keep editing. That's another bit of advice I was told, actually, because if you do want to be an offline editor and you get to the point of like, if you're lucky enough to be like the assembly editor, or after being like going like after the first assistant going to be the assembly editor, then you'll need to know how to cut.
Yeah, exactly. And I think
because some people just want to be assistants, they don't want to be editors.
Yeah, it's kind of like a totally different job,
which is fine.
I think we have 2 minutes, so
do we? How do we know?
Nia messaged me. I've only just seen it, sorry.
I just wish I could see the questions.
I know. Maybe there's a way that we can save it.
It says we've only got 21 questions.
I've answered 58 questions. It was like open.
Yeah. Well, guys, like message us.
If we haven't got around to answering questions,
or LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever.
So thank you so much, everyone, for listening. There's still 33 people watching the webinar, which is amazing.
How do we bring people actually in to like?
I don't think we have a control. What options do we have for people like me who are having a career break or returning to post? That's a really good question. I think it really depends on what your experience is before. So we can really only talk about coming in as an entry, or you may have more experience, which means that you can come into assisting or being an editor. We don't really have enough information to completely tailor our answers, but if you have never had if you're having career break and you haven't got any experience in post, starting out as a runner is a great way to go, and meeting people and going to different networking events, going to all the different webinars. Like, this is like an online networking event, really. And there's all the rough assembly webinars, so just learning as much as you can as well, and applying what you've learned as well, not just consuming information, I'd say.
I think what we need to do is everyone join the Facebook group. We'll definitely sort an event where we can all meet up and chat more after lockdown's over. Some bar or something. Pub. I'm always thinking about the next drink. Oh, that sounds so bad.
Oh.
We're gonna have to call it a night now.
Thank you so much, Nia.
Thank you for hosting.
That's okay. Thank you for everything. It's been really amazing. I just love how you've just been chatting along. It's really cute. Okay, I'm going to stop it now. So let's say goodnight to everyone, and Eleanor will catch up tomorrow, yeah?
Sounds good.
And then can you forward on the takeaway offer to Imogen?
Yes.
Tell her the drill. Okay.
I will do.
All right.
Thank you
Thanks,
very much,
everyone. Bye. Good night.